Okay, good late morning. I'm recording this at 10:45 a.m. and today is May 13th of 2025. I was getting ready, doing my little affirmations, doing my scripting as in writing things down 3 times and repeating them out loud 3 times for neuroplasticity. Doing my little routine to get ready to start working, and I felt called to do a video. Felt like a channeled thing that wanted to come through. So I grabbed my cards for some extra clarity to see what's trying to come through to record this, and I figured it out. So I'm going through a lot right now in life. A lot. And it just feels like my analogy, how life is an ocean. You never know if it's going to be calm. You never know if the waves are going to start crashing. You never know when riptide or whenever it's going to happen. Just hits you out of nowhere. But it's about learning how to move with the water that lets you become the master of your life and find true inner peace. Because at the end of the day, it's us having to acknowledge that true inner peace isn't something you find. It's something that's always been there. It's a matter of whether or not you're willing to go and get it and activate it within you. So, I really wanted to hop up on here and just remind anyone that's going through some emotional fog in their life right now. It's normal. Okay, yesterday there was a full moon in Scorpio, and that, I don't know if it's how it affected you guys, but for me, guys, oh my God, I was so excited looking forward to this full moon, and then the day came and there was a lot of astrological things happening in the sky that was creating a lot of like hardcore, let me show you all your shadows and make you feel them once again and make sure that you're good and you fully release them. And let's just say some of my shadows I thought I released, and it's still a work in progress. So yesterday was really, really flipping intense. It felt like I had 5 different voices in my head all arguing with me. I had one that was like, trust, surrender. And then the other part of me was like, but control, rigidity. So I was kind of going through my own personal experience there yesterday. And I'm about to do an 11-hour drive tomorrow to go to my grandpa's funeral. So there's a lot of things. However, I need everyone to understand, when we are trying to trust in life, especially when it comes to deep emotional healings, the spiritual journey, a spiritual awakening of any kind, whatever you guys believe in, to truly trust, right? Everyone always wants to try trusting these days. You think about the divine feminine era, like everyone was so obsessed with that on social media. And the true essence of divine femininity is about trusting and surrendering to the process of the unknown, of the chaos that life can throw at us every once in a while. However, I feel like because of society, because of my generation, I think I'm Generation Z or Millennial, I don't know, I always get that mixed up. I was born in 2000, so if anyone wants to let me know, feel free. But everyone's so focused on need to go do this, need to go do that, and we're a little bit too hard on ourselves sometimes. And as I looked up, I saw 333, so, action. Something about taking action. I feel like we are all being called right now, whoever's watching this, to remember that just because you're in that in-between state and you don't understand what's right around the corner, it doesn't mean that something isn't. It doesn't mean that there's something better. It doesn't mean that where you are is where you will be forever, because that's not true. Everything is impermanent. And so it's a matter of trying to make this period in your life, whatever you might be going through, sacred, that matters, and not just something to deal with. Do that heavy, annoyed sigh and be like, okay, I'll suck it up. Because there's no beauty in that, and that makes you forget that there's magic in life to embrace and appreciate. So I need us to all remember, we can all trust, right? But at the end of the day, to truly trust means to also trust when everything feels very freaking unclear. Because you can't just trust when things feel like they're working or working out for you, right? Because then were you ever trusting? Sometimes when we're going through life and we're trying to manifest anything, whatever the word manifest means for you, Sometimes it'll feel like, yeah, you're getting there. Yeah, you're getting there. Oh my God. And then because it feels like it's working, it makes you more willing to trust. But that's how you know that you're not really trusting. Does that make sense? Because then what about you fall one time, there's an obstacle in the way, and all that false trust crashes all over you. And now you're lost, you're confused, you don't know what happened because you did everything right to get to that end goal and it still doesn't happen. It doesn't mean that your journey is done, okay? Maybe it's not showing up in the exact way you want it to, but it doesn't mean that it's not coming. It doesn't mean that it's not there. It's just not there yet. And so I feel like I'm going through a process of realizing, because I used to be very hard on myself with like timelines for myself when I would set goals, personal goals. I feel like we have to be able to do somewhat of a loose timeline on our goals, because that'll help us hold ourselves accountable enough to stay disciplined, to persevere and keep going towards that goal. But also we need to make it loose enough where if the day happens or comes and we're not there yet, we don't need to be hard on ourselves for it. Because the universe, time is a construct that us humans created. Time doesn't exist. There's probably thousands of planets out there in this universe that don't even know what time is. Time might not even exist for them. And it's hard for our brains to understand that, but we need to keep that as a possibility. You know, universe, source doesn't work on our time. Like I said, time doesn't exist. So we can't force that type of outcome on ourselves or put that much pressure on ourselves to succeed. And then if it doesn't work out, hate ourselves for it, be ashamed of ourselves for it. Because look, the universe saying now is not time yet. It's going to happen, but now is not time yet. And that's where the real trust comes in. We need to be able to trust in those moments, that exact moment, for example, because for me, you know, when I first started my YouTube channel, it was actually 1 year ago to this day. So I guess happy YouTube channel anniversary for me when I did my first YouTube upload video. And I made a promise to myself and I said, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I'm going to grind, right? But life happens. Like I said, life is like an ocean. We don't know what's going to happen. It's just about flowing. And I used to try to control it, force it to go my way. But then are we forcing something to bloom and blossom that isn't ready? And if we get what we want by that force, because it's possible, is it going to be exactly what our souls truly wanted for ourselves because we forced it? Probably not. So why not allow it to do the thing it's meant to do for you? Let it happen when it's meant to happen. And just allow where you're at right now to be the right place you're meant to be at. You know, what if we could change our perspective and see things from a different light instead of shaming ourselves for not being where we want to be? How about we give ourselves grace and remember that we're in the middle of an ocean right now, and what matters is that we keep swimming. Whatever the ocean throws our way, as long as we keep swimming, as long as we keep trusting that we're going to get there, that is where the beauty lies. And that will help you find the inner peace through this journey and not just get you to your destination in suffering energy. You know, that's true divine femininity. And I think we're all in a period right now, especially with the energy of being the month of May. I think it's still Taurus season. So this is the time to be slow. This is the time to ground. And this full moon in Scorpio, like I said, if it messed you guys up as much as it messed me up, I'm still feeling it. Like my nervous system is really trying to like lose it on me right now. It's about allowing it to be there. But remember, in this time of Taurus, to be in the body, feel it in the body and flow. Trust your leap after everything has fallen apart, because even if everything fell apart, doesn't mean that that's your end. It doesn't mean the story finishes there. It's just the beginning. True courage is being able to continue going even when there's falls, even when there's obstacles. Because like I said, it's about trusting in those moments that matter more, not in the moments where it's working. So I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your day. Sorry if this one was pretty long, but I felt called to show up, and so I made it here. Bye.